Maternal health is broken. I've said that in 10 different ways over 10 different episodes. Induction rates rising, cesareans becoming routine, postpartum neglected, burnt out physicians, women feeling dismissed, doulas feeling sidelined. And I meant every word. But today is different. Today is not about what's broken. It's about what you actually do. Because diagnosing a problem is easy. Building a response is harder. Anyone can criticize, anyone can blame, anyone can repost statistics. Very few people sit quietly and ask, if this is the environment we're in, how do I move wisely inside it? Not how do I overthrow it, not how do I rage against it. How do I move wisely inside it? Most women don't control hospital policy. They don't control malpractice climate. They don't control insurance reimbursement. But they control 3 levers: education, provider alignment, and doula support. And I have been in the room when those 3 things changed everything. And I have been in the room when their absence accelerated everything. Let's walk through them slowly. Medicine lives in the gray. Not black, not white, gray. When something is catastrophic, no one debates. But most labor is not catastrophic. It is subtle. A tracing that's probably fine, a cervix that's almost there, a blood pressure that's a little elevated. Gray requires tolerance. And tolerance requires education. Preparation is not dramatic, but it is powerful. Let's start with the first lever, education. I had a patient, early 30s, first baby, 39 plus weeks, admitted for induction for preeclampsia. That word alone tightens a room. We began misoprostol, 1 dose, 2 doses, 3 doses. 24 hours later, no cervical change. Her blood pressures improved, labs stable, no symptoms. Now, here is the fork in the road. Are we inducing because she is in danger or because we've already started? Momentum builds once induction begins. Escalation is easier than pause. I didn't stand at the doorway. I sat down, and sitting down changes the energy of a room. We have options, I said. Options? We can escalate, or we can go home with monitoring, with clear return precautions. She chose to go home. 4 days later, she returned in spontaneous labor, uncomplicated vaginal birth. That wasn't rebellion against guidance from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. It was calibration. Education allowed her to tolerate gray. Fear accelerates intervention. Education lowers fear. Tempo determines trajectory. Earlier in my career, I escalated faster. Not because I was reckless, because I was afraid. Afraid of missing something. Afraid of being the one bad outcome. Experience changes that. It doesn't make you careless. It makes you steadier. You learn the difference between urgency and anxiety. Calibration is quiet, but quiet changes outcomes. The second lever is just as important, provider alignment. Now let's talk about the decision that shapes everything, your provider. Women will research strollers for weeks. They will compare car seats. They will read reviews about bassinets. And then choose their obstetrician because it's 5 minutes closer. Convenience is the silent enemy of maternal health. Let me be very clear. Most OBs are not bad people. Most are deeply committed. But philosophy matters. Comfort level matters. Risk tolerance matters. If your provider has a 40% induction rate, you're swimming upstream from day one. Not because they are reckless, because that is their comfort zone. If your provider becomes visibly uncomfortable at 40 weeks, you will feel that discomfort. And when you feel it, you will move. Alignment is not about liking someone. It is about shared tolerance for gray. Let me give you something practical. Ask these questions early, not at 38 weeks, at 12 weeks. What is your induction rate? What is your primary cesarean rate? How do you feel about waiting past 40 weeks? What makes you uncomfortable? If the answers tighten your chest at 12 weeks, they will not feel better at 39 weeks. I've had patients transfer to me at 34 weeks. 34. Because they suddenly realized they were misaligned. That is stressful. That is disruptive. That is late. Provider philosophy shapes trajectory more than birth plans. You cannot positive mindset your way around misalignment. You cannot doula your way around misalignment. You cannot educate your way around misalignment. Alignment reduces friction. Friction increases intervention. When a provider trusts physiology, waiting feels calm. When a provider fears physiology, waiting feels dangerous. That energy transfers. And here is something that may be uncomfortable to hear. Sometimes, best decision you make in pregnancy is not what hospital you choose. It is who is holding the pen, because that person signs orders. That person reads the gray. That person decides when the gray has changed. Choose wisely. And then there's the third pillar, doula support. There's something people misunderstand about doulas. They think a doula is there to advocate, or to resist, or to negotiate. That's not the highest function of a doula. The highest function of a doula is regulation. Birth is profoundly influenced by the nervous system. If a mother feels unsafe, her body tightens. If she feels observed, her body changes. If she feels judged, progress slows. This is not poetic language. This is physiology. Stress hormones and labor hormones do not cooperate. I have been in rooms where everything was technically fine, tracing reassuring, vital stable, contractions adequate. But the energy was tense. The mother felt watched. The partner felt unsure. The nurse felt rushed. And progress slowed. And then I've seen a doula enter the same environment. Not loud, not confrontational. Just steady. A hand on the shoulder, a whisper in the ear, a reminder to breathe. And something shifts. Shoulders drop, breathing slows, contractions organize. The room softens. And when the room softens, decisions soften. Let me give you a specific example. Second-time mom, previous traumatic birth. This time, she was guarded from the start. Every suggestion felt threatening. Her doula said almost nothing for the first hour. She just stayed close. When contractions intensified, the nurse suggested epidural early. Not inappropriate, not wrong, but early. The doula didn't say no. She didn't roll her eyes. She said quietly, "Can we try one more position first?" That sentence is regulation. It doesn't challenge authority. It doesn't inflame ego. It slows tempo. 2 hours later, she was 8 centimeters. No escalation, no drama, no tension. Now contrast that. I've also been in rooms where the doula's energy was confrontational. Every suggestion met with resistance. Every comment felt like a challenge. You can feel it. The nurse tightens. The provider shortens sentences. The room compresses. And when tension rises, intervention thresholds drop. That is human nature, not malice. Human physiology responds to tension. A skilled doula understands that. She is not anti-doctor. She is pro-environment. She stabilizes emotion so physiology can unfold. That is not ideology. That is biology. And when you combine an educated mother, an aligned provider, and a steady doula, you don't eliminate intervention, you calibrate it. And calibration is everything. When I say maternal health is broken, I'm not saying doctors are villains. I'm not saying hospitals are evil. I am saying fear has begun to shape the pace of modern obstetrics. And fear accelerates decisions, and acceleration changes birth. You cannot control everything, but you can control preparation, education, alignment, and doula support. 3 levers. Pull them well, and your probability curve shifts. Not guarantee, shift. Birth is not a procedure. It is physiology unfolding inside an environment. One educated woman, one aligned provider, one steady doula. Repeated, quietly. That is how culture bends. And that is enough.